All right, we are now uh, live. So thank you for joining us for leading teams in a virtual world. Okay. Before we begin, may I invite everyone to join our groups and advocacies. So if you would like to be a YouTuber or you would like to produce high quality videos, inviting you to join us in Adobe Premiere Pro user group Philippines. And if you're interested to take Autodesk and Adobe certification exams, inviting you to check out our friends in Mechani Web. If you're into digital arts and creativity, all pertaining to digital technologies, inviting you to join us in Digital Creatives Philippines. And also, if you're into architecture, engineering, and construction, manufacturing, VFX, animation, game development, inviting you to join us in Autodesk Community Philippines. And lastly, if you're into building information modeling, we have a support group for you, which is Building Information Modeling, BIM Philippines. Okay, so I'm your host this afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. My name po is Jomark Bakiran. Please connect with me also. Please connect with me in LinkedIn. Our guest sharer this afternoon is Andrew Valye, and he'll be sharing to us more about how to lead teams in this virtual world. Okay, so good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Joe Mark. Good afternoon to everyone listening and watching.
Ayan, so I'm browsing through Andrew's profile. Ayan, so this is also my first time meeting Andrew. Ayan. The conversation just started only in LinkedIn, and then finally I'm seeing Andrew in my computer computer screen, and hoping to meet you, sir, in the near future.
Yes,
In person.
definitely.
Ayan. We're seeing here, you took up, no, mechanical engineering. Can you share to us why is it mechanical engineering was your choice way back then?
Sure. Actually, simple lang yung sagot dyan. The plain and simple and honest answer is my mom wanted me to take up mechanical engineering. And since I am a very good son to my mother, I took up and finished mechanical engineering. In UST, it's 5 years and 2 semesters per year. Sa sobrang galing ko na estudyante, 6 years ko siya tinapos, tsaka trisem. So, that's my experience in engineering. But it was very, ano ba, very helpful as I developed as a person. My professors there were very knowledgeable in mechanical engineering, but also imparted a lot of wisdom in terms of yung diskarte ba sa buhay. So that's what I really got from my college education.
Ayan, ASL daw, where is Andrew located?
So I'm located at New Manila, Quezon City. And that's primarily one of the reasons why I transitioned to working virtually. Back then, I worked in the BPO sector for about 13 years. And living in Quezon City, sobrang traffic. So I decided to shift to being a virtual professional. That's what I kind of called myself back then, virtual professional, about 4 years ago.
So 4 years ka ng parang working virtually or WFH.
Yes, work from home for years. Almost 4 years.
Ayan. FYI to our viewers and participants, we are also live po, no? Live in YouTube and Facebook. So we're currently live streaming in 3 platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Ayan. The topic for this afternoon is leading teams in virtual world. Andrew, do you have some slides to share for us this afternoon?
Yes, I do. Let me go ahead and share them.
Yep. And to all our viewers and participants, encouraging po everyone to ask questions. Ayan, please comment down below if you have questions to Andrew. Let's make this more engaging. Ayan, so again, this is not a a conversation between Andrew and me, but this is between all of us. So we're highly encouraging everyone to participate by asking questions. Ayan, so while
Do you see my screen now, Jomar?
ayan.
Ayan.
So again, very timely topic. Alam niyo naman this COVID season. And I'm sure yeah. And I'm sure Andrew has a lot for us to share on how we can be effectively leading teams. Ayan.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Jomar. So again, thank you for inviting me to speak today. To all our participants, guests, thank you for joining us today. Taking time out of your weekend to be here. I sincerely appreciate your presence. So like what Joe Mark said, this is more of a conversation. So if you have questions, just type them in. We will get to them as we go through the presentation. And the topic at hand that we have today is something inspired by recent events. A lot of us have been thrust into this new reality, this new world of leadership where wala na yung teams natin within arm's reach. Everyone's working, well, most people are working virtually. And while some of us are more used to it, I'd like to share a few best practices that I've learned through the years of working or of being a virtual professional. With that said, let me quickly go ahead and introduce myself or reintroduce myself. So I'm Andrew Valle. You can call me Drew. Andrew is fine too. I'm currently the executive of support and business insight for Riva Global LLC. Riva Global is a virtual assistant company. We've been in existence for about 2 years now, more than 2 years. And the main goal of this company is to bridge clients in the US, mostly real estate professionals and medical practitioners, to the talent in the Philippines. That's our drive and passion. Personally, I joined the company because I believe in its core values. And I really just want to help more Filipinos, shift their careers to working virtually. It's really a good opportunity for us, especially for uh, family men and women. It's really important that we get to spend time with our kids, and the 2-3 hours of traffic every day is just unbearable for me. And I'm sure for you too, sayang yung oras. Kesa natuturuan natin yung mga anak natin, we get to spend time doing the things we love.
40 cats ha? Parang napakadami niyan, sir.
Oo. So, meron kaming 40 cats kasi meron kaming maliit na rescue foundation dito sa barangay.
Okay. That's
Oo.
great.
That's one of our passions, my wife and I. We've been at it for as long as we've been married, which is 9 years. That's why we've accumulated about 40 cats in those years.
Kids daw. How about kids?
Oh, I have one daughter. She's 11 now. Homeschool. So I'm quite happy about homeschooling too. Of course, I understand our schools are still adjusting to this new norm, and but I'm very happy with how my daughter's school has adjusted, and I'm very happy that she's at home.
Great, great.
All right. So other things, I'm also a Six Sigma black belt. I also practice NLP. I know Wanda, one of the previous speakers, is also an NLP practitioner. Very helpful in leading and overall interactions with other people, and also for yourself. Um, and again, living with cats, living with 40 cats and about 4 dogs now. Growing family of cats. All right, so that's about me. I've also been working for 17 years now. 13 of those years in the BPO or call center industry. Uh, I've been around. So I've been in about 4 or 5 call centers and one in-house company, an antivirus company. I stayed the longest there. And after that, like what I told John Mark earlier, um, I really decided to move to working from home or working virtually. It was painful to commute from New Manila to Bacoor every day. It was also painful to commute from New Manila to Makati every day. And as much as I value my career in the BPO industry, rising through the ranks, I decided to let go of all of it. And back then, when I started working virtually, wala naman akong alam sa industry na yon. So, I decided to start from the beginning. I applied as a virtual assistant initially, and then again rose through the ranks. Luckily, I got an opportunity to show the value that I can bring to the companies that I've worked with. And at the moment, I'm one of the partners in Riva Global. All right, so that's about me. Let's go to the topic at hand, no? And again, if you have any questions, just type them in. We will get to it as we go. Uh, Leading teams in the virtual world is something that I am very passionate about in talking to everyone because, again, a lot of us have been thrust into this new reality. And if you're like me 4 years ago, it was a challenging experience for me because there were a lot of things that I had to learn, and there were a lot of things that I had to unlearn. Actually, the unlearning part is more challenging than the learning part. There are some practices that work in the traditional office setup that don't work at all in the virtual world. And what we'll go through today are tips and best practices that I learned through those years. And we broke them down into three phases. We'll have tools, we'll have process, and we'll have people. And to get us started, let's go to tools. So the first and most basic but most important for me would be, what are your most important tools in leading a team or even just being a virtual professional? No? Your most important tools would be your laptop or your desktop, your machine basically, and your internet connection. Uh, Back then, I started working virtually with a 5 or 6 year old laptop and an internet connection of 5 Mbps. Dahil hindi ko pa alam kung ano talaga yung requirement, I joined meetings and Zoom takes up a lot of bandwidth. Merong mga times I had to turn off my camera. I had to ask my team members to turn off their cameras when we were talking because the bandwidth was just bad. The connection was just bad. Fast forward to now, what I can give you as a tip would be, if you're investing in a laptop or a desktop, the minimum that you should shoot for would be something with 8 gigabytes of RAM and something current, about 2 or 3 year old if you're buying secondhand. I suggest you still buy new kasi that kind of future proofs your machine. But you can't go wrong with something with an 8 gigabyte RAM and 2 or 3 year old machine. What do you think, Joe Mark?
If you're into simple ano lang naman task, hindi ka nagsisimulation, video editing, definitely 8 gig will do. Pero if you're planning to do video editing, animation, simulation, yung mga pang-CAD natin, no? So definitely recommending 16 gig. Ayan, pataas, and very reliable GPU. Ayan. Drew, laging tanong, ano yung marirecommend mo sa area mo na internet provider?
Nako, mahirap na tanong yan sige, sabihin ko na lang kung ano yung internet provider ko. Hindi to plug sa kanila, no? Pero they've been very reliable in my area, sa New Manila area. Naka-Globe ako eh. I'm on the Globe fiber plan. I got the 100 Mbps. Kasi allergic talaga ako na, mamaya pag-uusapan natin, pero yung, dahil nga I'm a leader in the virtual space, yung nasa momentum na kayo ng usap, tapos biglang mapuputol yung connection mo, tapos ikaw yung may kasalanan. I feel very responsible for that, and that's why I decided to take that connection. Ang backup ko is PLDT na medyo down ngayon. Kaya hopefully my main connection is going to be okay.
So you mean to say you're paying two internet subscription?
Yes, oo. Bukod doon, I also have tawag dito, yung portable router na prepaid. Just because, again, going back to this topic most likely, the internet connection is very important. right now we need to communicate to our teams virtually. And our availability as leaders would highly depend on our internet connection. That's why I'm very particular about maintaining connection.
True.
Yeah. So again, laptop or desktop and internet connection. Make sure you have the most reliable tools because these will be important as you go through your journey as virtual leaders. Next would be as a best practice, I recommend that you continue updating your calendars. Make it your own personal executive assistant. What do I mean? When we were working in the traditional office setup, alam niyo yung mga times na may pupunta sa office mo, oh, boss, may time ka ba? Diba? Yung a person will just pop up in your office asking for a quick meeting and nawala yung lahat. Ngayon na nagtatrabaho tayo virtually. Mag-chat na sila. Do you have time? Sir, kamusta ka na? Do you have time? Sir, I need to talk. Yeah. And I'm also a big fan of time blocking. Right? Scheduling the tasks that I need to do. Maintaining my calendar has been very, very effective for me that I went to the extent of asking my teams to also do the same. And then we publish all our calendars to each other. That way, we have kind of maintained that ability to just pop in and say, hey boss, do you have time? Drew, do you have time? Kasi makikita nila sa calendar ko, may gagawin naman ako na normally I just respond to emails. But if they need to really speak to me, they'd see which time they can just pop in. And I can do the same to them because I see their calendars. It functions like, again, executive virtual assistant or an executive assistant. If you maintain your calendars, it really does wonders with that segment of it. Yung the people getting to you, knowing which time you're available. All right. So next on tools would be your connection tools. Very straightforward naman to. Most of us would be on at least two of these. And one thing that I can share as a best practice is maximize your group chats. If you have a certain project or if you have a certain task, build a group chat for it. If you're a new company or if you're hiring, build a group chat with your SMEs and your new employees. Why is that helpful? No? Let's say for the SMEs and your new employees, if you have a group chat with your SMEs and you publish that anyone can ask questions in the group chat and your SMEs can answer, immediately that's a force replicator for you as a leader. Otherwise, if you didn't have that, all of the new people, all of the new employees will chat you with all their questions. And of course, you have to respond. So again, maximizing the group chat channel is going to be very helpful as a force replicator and also empowers your SMEs. Of course, you want to grow your employees' talent and skills. And with them interacting with the new employees, it helps them really grow as leaders as well.
Ayan. Drew, we have a question. Ano daw yung preferred calendar mo with your team?
Since we are on G Suite, I just use Google Calendar. I think any calendar naman works almost the same. But I find that G Suite is very simple to use kasi madaling mag-share across team members.
How about Calendly daw? Are you using it with your team or are you utilizing it?
We use Calendly in a specific department where appointments would need to be set. Personally, I don't use Calendly with my teams. I used to handle recruitment and training along with IT. So even if recruitment had appointments, I didn't really ask them to use Calendly because we were recruiting uh, Filipinos and in the Philippines, a lot of our applicants are new in the virtual world. So uh, walking them through Calendly would be, I guess, more time consuming than just asking them to go to their Google G Suite or Google Calendars.
Okay.
All right. So, any other questions on tools before we move on to process?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah. So after tools, let's talk about process. No, some tips and tricks about process. So first of all, process documentation. Process documentation is important whether you're in the traditional office setup or in the virtual setup. And there are a lot of ways to document your process, this being one of them. Uh, it becomes more important in the virtual setup because, again, you are not physically present to guide your employees. You're not physically present to uh, watch them perform the task, and you might not have the time to do that virtually. So, if you have a very good documentation process when you're leading teams virtually, it helps your new employees or it helps all your employees get up to speed with the tasks that they need to do. A best practice would be including a short video on what exactly to do when you ask them to do something and it's documented in a process. Just have a quick walkthrough. And baba, ito, how to operate Zoom. Ganyan.
Hmm.
Then you go to Zoom, operate it, or how to do Canva, how to generate an image in Canva. Go ahead and have a quick walkthrough. That video really helps when you're working virtually. Now, just a quick tip when you're creating process documents, remember the acronym POC. So make sure that your process documents are published. And when I talk about publish, I mean that everyone who needs to know that process knows where to look and where to go to find that process. It's not enough that we just send an email to everyone saying na, oh, ito yung, dito mo makuha itong process na to, dito naman to. When it's really published, you need to check if the people really know where to go. And that's when you say a process is published. Next, when you create process documents, make sure it's output driven. In the process documents, there should be a clear action that they need to do. It should be very clear to them that if you go ahead and ask anyone in this process, what do you need to do? What's the output? If everyone has the same answer, that means that your process is very well documented on that specific output. And lastly, make sure that everyone is calibrated. This is the normal failure point in processes where person one has a different interpretation than person two. And what's worse is sometimes the leader has a different interpretation of the same process. So it's best to get into a quick calibration meeting as you publish your processes to make sure that you all have the same understanding with that process that you rolled out. All right. So moving on, cadence. So this is something that I struggled with early in working professionally. When I say struggled with, I really had a hard time building that habit, daily habit, when I shifted from working from the office to working from home. Why? Because everything is just within arm's reach. And in the same manner, people can just send you a message, send you an email, and you'll be tempted to work on it. Even if it's outside your shift or even if you have a scheduled meeting. Halimbawa, yung boss ko mag-email. Pero meron akong scheduled na one-on-one or one-to-one sa isang tao ko. Uh, I'm sometimes tempted to just reschedule the one-on-one so I can respond immediately to my boss. I'm not sure if you've ever felt that. But back then when I was starting, it was one of my struggles. And as I experienced the cadence or how helpful having cadence in meetings would be, I also implemented it in my teams. So we almost always never reschedule our weekly meetings. It's helpful for us because, especially for those who are just transitioning now, it helps to build that habit, that mindset that they're still working. It's still technically an office, albeit a home office, and it helps them move into that mindset that uh, they can function normally, or they can work normally even if they're working from home. It also builds a responsible employee because as they go on and become leaders, they will not reschedule meetings as well. No, they will only reschedule, I guess, if it's really, really important. But keeping commitments is something that is taught if you build and follow through on your cadence in scheduled meetings. All right, I'll move on to the last tip in process, stability. So make sure your processes are stable. Uh, don't fall into the trap of process of the month. What do I mean? Excuse me. So, for example, you launch the process this month, saying that, let's say, lates would be 15 minutes. There's a grace period of 15 minutes. And after 2 weeks, someone got escalated because this person was late for, let's say, 12 minutes. And then you go ahead and change the process. Okay, 10 minutes na lang yung grace period next month. Then the month after, you go ahead and change it to 5 minutes. Something as simple as that change, as simple as it sounds, is still a change in process. And if you're responsible in campaigning process calibration, it's going to be a challenge if you continue to change your processes every single month. I'll give you a better example. So let's say there are 20 employees in your team, and one of them, let's say, broke an attendance process. You already have an existing HR process for dealing with attendance issues, and one of them broke it. And unfortunately for this person, it caused a financial impact, a minor financial impact in your company. And instead of following the HR process, the leader went ahead and changed the entire process, built a new process just dealing with a specific segment of attendance because one person out of 20 had a minor financial impact when this person had an attendance issue. That's also an example of process of the month. It causes your processes to be unstable. And in turn, your people might feel unstable because they can't get used to a process, right? They'll get confused. So make sure that when you implement processes, they're very well thought of. It has been campaigned. You have the buy-in of most of the people, if not all of the people, that will be impacted by the process. And think twice or thrice before you change, modify, or roll out any new process. One of the questions you should ask is always, is there an existing process that deals with this? And if there is, just go ahead and look at that process. If it's applicable, go ahead and apply it instead of creating a new process every month or every week. All right. Any questions so far? Anything? Any feedback before we move on to the people part of this presentation?
Yeah, none for now, none for now.
Sige. I'll go ahead to the people part. All right. So first in the people part would be communication. Again, pretty basic. They say that communication is key in leadership. In leading teams in a virtual world, communication is not just key anymore. Communication is absolutely necessary. You really have to set the time, make the effort to proactively communicate with everyone that you work with. Uh, it's easier said than done working virtually. In the office setup, you can just walk up to a person and start a conversation. In the chat room, it's a bit different. There might be some, ano bang tawag dito? Shields, because you can't really, it's really tough to connect over chat, right? But you have to make an effort as a leader to break that barrier. Sometimes, or more often than not, it's broken over time. You can't expect to have a person open up to you and communicate to you as the leader in a week or two. It's really built over time. Trust is built over time. And as a leader, you have to make that effort consistently. You have to be proactive, and you have to set the time to communicate to everyone that you work with. And when communicating, there are 3 T's that I want to offer you. Be transparent, be truthful, and be timely. All 3 are very important in any message that you will need to give anyone or a team. Of course, being transparent is helpful because you're not working in an office space anymore. In an office space, they can observe. They observe the leaders. They can see when the leaders have a meeting. They can see when a client comes in. And often they can also see and detect when there's an issue. In the virtual world, it's tough to do that if you're an employee. And often, good leaders would be the first to communicate a particular message. And that message is transparent in a way that they're proactive before chismis comes out na may issue. They've already went ahead and communicated what a possible issue is and what management is doing to prevent that situation from escalating. Next is be truthful. Again, very straightforward, very basic core value. But as a reminder, it's best to always say the truth. In a nutshell, that's, I guess, the best message that I can give. Always tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. Of course, be professional when you communicate it, but people appreciate the truth. And with the truth comes the timeliness of the message. It's best that, again, in the virtual world, ang napansin ko, dahil mabilis yung chat, if you don't communicate timely, people will draw their own conclusions on a specific issue that they heard somewhere. So if you communicate timely, you prevent that whole situation where you're now fighting fires because the people know something different when something different concerning a situation or an issue. In being timely, it's best to be proactive. So before a situation escalates, best to communicate with your employees. All right. And lastly, quick tip: know the difference. Know the difference when to call and when to chat. So let's do a quick engagement activity for everyone in LinkedIn, Facebook. If you can type in call or chat, I'll give you a scenario. Let's say you're the leader and you receive a chat message saying, "Are you free?" Call or chat?
Chat ako.
Sige. Okay, sige Jomar. Kung chat, anong reply mo?
Is this urgent?
Yan, sige, tama. Meron bang mga hindi ko nakita kayong chat box eh. Do we have more calls than chats or do we have more chats?
Call daw,
Oh,
sir.
wait.
Kay Miss Razel, call daw siya.
Call.
Ayan.
Yan. Sige. Actually, wala namang tama o maling sagot dito. There are a lot of dependencies to. Some of those would be how you know the person, ano yung background, nagsabi na ba siya sa'yo na meron siyang malaking problema, ito bang taong to, matanong talaga na normally nag-validate lang siya. So there are a lot of dependencies. But I guess I posed that question because you need to understand all those dependencies, plus the person's personality, and then know when you need to call or when you need to chat. Personally, as a best practice, I limit calling out of the blue. There are very few times that I do that because I respect my people's time. I know their time blocking as well. And for me to support them in being more effective, I always schedule my calls. But I have lots of calls with them. Pero scheduled lahat. In the same manner, my door is always open to them. They know that if they need to talk to me, they can just pick up the phone and call me. So, again, if you're leading teams virtually, have that understanding of the the dependencies of when to call and when to chat.
Oh, Drew, no? Nahalata ko din yan, Drew, within this parang generation, parang everyone, ano yun, no? Hindi hesitant lagi sumagot sa telepono. Ewan ko kung bakit. Parang itong panahon na to, everyone na, mostly ayaw nilang sumagot sa tawag. Oo, o baka yun na talaga ang ano ngayon, no? Parang trend. Possibly, siguro, may may mangungutang, may maniningil. Pero ganun na no. Ewan ko sa mga experience ng ibang ating mga viewers, ano po kaya yung mga experience nyo, no? Pero sa akin, parang ganun ang feel ko ngayon eh.
Actually, may napanood ako kahapon ba o nung isang araw. It was a talk being given by a psychologist. And it's also parang a stand-up comedy given by a psychologist. Sabi niya, yung generation daw na mga nauna, ang naturo sa kanila is tumatakbo pa sa telepono. Diba? Parang yung nasa telepono sa pader, takbo tayo, sagutin natin, excited tayo na, may tumatawag. Pero yung ngayon daw, they just pick up the phone, they know who's calling, if they're not interested, they can easily not answer. So I don't know if it's a technology concern dahil nag-update na yung technology or it's really a generation thing, but I don't know.
Ayan, may point si ano, no? Tama si Sir Raymond, tama about call and chat, no? Timeliness in communication affects, tama naman. The
Yes, oo.
relevance of the message.
100%. Thank you, Brother Raymond, for sharing this. This is very important. For all the viewers too to know. Yung effectiveness talaga ng communication would be greatly dependent on the timeliness. It's best to always be proactive when communicating.
Yes.
All right, so yun tayo. Tools, process, and people. 9 tips overall. And as we end this presentation, I want to quickly give you a bonus tip. Our 10th tip for the day. As you lead teams, keep in mind that you're also leading yourself. And you're also if you're thrust into the situation where you've been in an office before and now you're working at home, maybe alone, at night or in the morning, in the afternoon, you're also leading yourself. And one way to stay sane, stay ahead of all the craziness in this world is practice self-awareness. Self-awareness would be understanding your own capabilities, giving yourself your own feedback, also doing your own self-talk. If you need to uplift yourself, take responsibility. But self-awareness is key because you first need to know that you're feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You also need to pat your own back at times. If you did something great, know that, have that confidence to tell yourself, hey, I did a good job today. Don't depend on other people to do that for you. If you're self-aware, you can give your own self your feedback. You can change, you can adjust. And it's always best to be aware of your own feelings. And with that, I want to give you a quote from John Maxwell and an invitation to all the leaders in this forum. Let's all be leaders who know the way, who go the way, and show the way. So again, thank you, Joe Mark. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay ang quote mo parang 2 words ata yan parang being a servant leader.
Yes, so servant leadership kasi for me is serving first and serving unconditionally. We ngayon sa sitwasyon lalo ngayon, kailangan nating maging servant leaders. Kailangan tumutulong tayo ng walang hinahanap na kapalit. There are a lot of us needing help, and this is something I'm very passionate about, campaigning that it's free to help. Tulong lang tayo. Kailangan ng maraming tao ng tulong ngayon. Tulong lang tayo. I'm gonna share ako. Thank you, Joe Mark. Just stop sharing.
So if you have questions, feel free to comment down or suggest something, no? I'll be giving you a few minutes po, no? Ayan. So from Sir Raymond, ayan, I believe that self-awareness is necessary to succeed in all aspects of life.
Agree, oo, syempre. Kailangan talaga yan. Lalo na ngayon. Lalo na ngayon.
Ako very new sa akin yung self-awareness na yan. No? Nako-confuse ako ng onte about self-aware. Ano ba sa Tagalog yan, sir? Paano ba pag tinagalog yan?
Ano ba sa Tagalog ang self-awareness? Gandang tanong yan,
May term ba na Tagalog term yan?
Iniisip ko nga eh. Baka viewers natin, Sir Raymond, may Tagalog ba ang self-awareness?
Sa patahimik ko.
Oo, napaisip din ako actually ano yung Tagalog ng self-awareness. But you know, in a way, Joe Mark, it's really yung kailangan lang alam mo hindi aware, yung in tune ka sa nangyayari sa'yo. Bawa, malungkot ka. Bisa natin sa feelings, no, emotions. If you're aware of your emotions, what normally happens is may choice ka eh. Bawa, malungkot ka. Let's say, pwede mong shrug off, malungkot ako, hindi, trabaho ko. Or malungkot ako, wait, sandali, take a step back and process this emotion. Bakit ba ako malungkot? Bakit ba ako masaya? Ganyan. It depends on where you are in the self-awareness scale. Yung mas self-aware would be faster to act. Okay, I'm sad. I'll process it quickly. I'm sad because my project failed. My project failed because of this. Is there something that I need to do better next time? So that entire line of questioning is inward. That makes you self-aware.
Parang ito so hindi ko siguro ito connection, no? Sorry sir, ang lalabas LinkedIn user, kamalayan, tama ba?
Pwede.
Diba?
Oo. Pwede. Pwede yan, tama.
O malay ko dyan. May ano ba yan? May aspect din ba yan sa health, yan, kalusugan, pag self-aware?
Oo, meron. Like, personal experience, no? Pag kumakain ako ng munggo, minsan may sumasakit. Yung gano'n, simple lang, simpleng sample lang ng health. So, ibig sabihin, may mali sa kinain mo. And pag kumain ako ng munggo, alam ko na may sasakit. Ganyan. Dahil aware ako doon, hindi na ako kain ng munggo. Iwasan ko yung munggo, konti lang. Ganon. So, it also helps in a way.
Parang off topic ata to. Ano daw sir yung marami daw kasi mga abbreviation ngayon eh. Ano daw uli ibig sabihin ng NLP na nabanggit nyo kanina? NLP?
Sure. Neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming type natin dito sa
ano daw yan? Ano yan?
So neuro-linguistic programming has a lot of facets, but I guess I can explain it plainly by saying that it's an understanding of how the mind works. The mind is a tool. It's a tool for you. It's something that you can use. And as you understand it, you can program your mind, your brain. You can have your brain talk to you differently, and you can talk to your brain differently. Again, there are a lot of facets, but I guess the simplest explanation is understanding how the brain works, how the mind works, and then maximizing it so you can maximize your own potential.
And you mentioned kanina, 'di ba, leading virtual team. Do you block off your time din ba? Kunyari, are you working 8 to 5 lang talaga and then wala nang bawal na mang-chat at mag-call? How's your day-to-day operation or yung pangyayari sa araw-araw mo?
Hindi. So simplest answer is I don't really block a specific time that I'm working. My day is quite dynamic, but I keep it controlled by scheduling my meetings uh, every Sunday or Saturday. So weekends, I still kind of put in some work to schedule my week ahead. Siyempre may mga magbabago doon and
Oo.
I adjust as I go. But that's the best that I can do to control it. And as much as I want to work only 8 hours, I also do a lot of things outside my engagement with Riva. I also manage a few businesses. I run a few e-commerce businesses and a small consultancy company. So all of that take time. Along with, I'm really happy with the LinkedIn community. That's why I spend some hours engaging in the LinkedIn community. And there's really no structure in my day. It's just that the best structure that I can give you is I schedule all the things that I need to do over the weekend for the next week and then adjust as I go.
Ayan, mahaba to. Based on your experience on establishing virtual teams, what can you suggest for those company who's into traditional approach and don't have much collaboration tools? Should virtual team be technology driven, or even we have limited technology, we can establish virtual teams?
Magandang tanong yan. Uh, I think if you're new in implementing a virtual team setup, I suggest you start with the free tools. So you have Zoom, yeah, that's free. You have Google Teams, you have Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook. You can even use Facebook as a means to communicate professionally. Uh, the biggest factor in implementing virtual teams would be yung equipment ng mga tao, syempre, tsaka connection, like what we discussed earlier. But let's say wala yun, wala pang computer, yung connection medyo faulty pa, you can still work virtually. You have your phones, as long as as long as it's a smartphone and you have data, then you have the means to operate virtually. What would be more important would be the processes. Ano yung mga proseso behind the things that you do? Kaya ba yon i-translate virtually? Can you really produce the output that you're required to do when you're not in the office? Siyempre kasi may mga trabaho talaga na hindi pwede na maging virtual. So if you think you can produce the output that you need to do virtually, then it's just a matter of finding the most cost-efficient tool available to you. Then creating the process to support or change what you need to do so it can be done when you're in the home or when you're not in the office.
Oo. Curious to know, what is Reva Global? Anong industry ba yan, sir? What does Reva do?
So Riva is a virtual assistant company. We've been in operation for about 2 years now in this brand. And we bridge our local talent, the very talented Filipinos, to the requirement of clients in the US, mostly in the US. We provide virtual assistant services. So we have our virtual assistants would be functioning like, ano ba ang closest? Functioning like executive assistants to the clients. And magpa-plug lang ako, we are hiring. We are hiring a lot of virtual assistants. This is a good opportunity for Filipinos to shift into working virtually. It's a great company with great benefits. And if you want to join us, just check us out on Facebook. We also have a LinkedIn page. We are hiring virtual assistants. I think we're also hiring trainers. We're also hiring a recruitment specialist and a client services manager.
Ang dami.
Oo, madami
Booming.
opportunity. Apply lang kayo. It's a great company.
Oo. Ayan. Thank you for joining us, Miss Virginia.
Thank you.
Ayan.
Thank you, Miss BB.
Oo, tama. Ayan. Wala. Okay. And another comment from Ma'am VB. Yan. Right. It's not really about technology. It's very about the process and structure, even with the
Yes,
totoo naman.
correct. Yes, oo.
So, ayan. Please connect with Andrew if you have more questions. And are those positions office-based or home-based?
Home-based, 100% home-based.
Ayan, pwede ba daw yung mga freelancer or ano yan, full-time commitment?
Full-time commitment nga lang siya. There's a requirement to go on full-time for this company.
Oh, pero okay siya kasi every guys, 'di ba? Home-based kasi. So, okay siya.
Oh, we have healthcare benefits, much like any company. There are great benefits in joining Riva. And again, not to plug too much, but these opportunities are very helpful to our countrymen who are also looking for jobs at the moment.
So, any specific requirements for your VA? Dapat ba engineer yan or any person na VA yung tinutukoy mo?
For VAs, the most basic requirement would be good computer, good internet connection, and if it helps, not really a major requirement, but it helps if you can effectively speak the English language. Siyempre, mga kliyente natin nasa US, if you can converse with clients, then that's a big advantage for you.
Ayun, so simple lang pala, akala ko kailangan computer science graduate,
Hindi naman. Hindi naman.
Okay, so if you have a message to share or an advocacy, or may kakilala po kayo has a message or an advocacy to share, please invite them to be our next sharer speaker like Andrew, ayan, on the next LinkedIn Meets Philippines or LinkedIn Local Philippines Live. Ayan, so thank you for spending your time to us, Drew.
Thank you then, John Mark. And again, thank you to everyone who joined this event. Again, very grateful, and I'm very happy to be here.
Ayan, once more, if you have questions to Andrew, yes, please please connect with him in LinkedIn. And if you think if you have a friend na na-miss tong live stream natin about leading virtual teams, this is recorded. So, the best thing about the technology nowadays ay may replay, and you can share this video, interesting video and educational video to someone na they may probably benefit from. So once more, Riva, Andrew, their team is hiring, highly suggesting to check them out. And thank you for joining us, and see you next time for our next LinkedIn Meets Philippines.
Thank you.
Drew. Thank you, everyone.